Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the festive October version of Métis Coffee Talk. My name is Keith Henry. I'm the president of the BC Métis Federation, and I want to thank everyone for joining us as we get ready. I say festive because Halloween's around the corner, and I don't know about you, but I have one son that is addicted to scary shows, and I feel like I've been inundated with scary shows the last few nights in the honor of, I guess, Halloween. Anyways, I guess I call it festive or scary. I'm not sure what to call it, but we have a lot of information to share with members and partners tonight. So let's welcome some of our guests that'll join me throughout this show this month. I want to welcome back to the show, our Director of Michif Language, Jeannie Cardinal. Jeannie, welcome to the show.
Thank you. I'm so pleased to be back, and we've got some great and important work to share. So thank you so much for the warm welcome.
You're very welcome. And we've got our fearless group from Terrace, BC. I see. Well, I'll get them to introduce themselves. Renee, why don't you say a few words on behalf of the band?
Oh, we recorded last night, 12 songs, and I'll give you a copy as soon as I get it. And we're doing good.
Well, 12 songs live. Well, there you go. Well, I guess recorded now. What am I saying live? That makes no sense. But well, thanks, Mike and Sean. Good to see you guys again this month, and we really appreciate having you on the show. And of course, and then we've got another department representative coming here from the Conservation Department. Zia, welcome to this month's edition of Métis Coffee Talk.
Hello, Keith and everyone. Thank you so much for having me here.
Perfect. Well, it's going to be an action-packed show, everyone. We got lots of information, but before we get into it, why don't we start with sharing some Métis culture, and then we're going to get into some Michif language. But let's start with turn it over to our friends in Terrace. Renee, what are you going to play for us?
It's a tune that we haven't played for a long time. It's called Big Bear.
Thank you very much, Renee. Big Bear.
Yeah, John Arcan, I believe, wrote that. Great fiddle player, great Métis fiddle player.
That's right. Yeah, well known, of course, in many parts of this country by the Métis community. Did you want to give us one more song before we start to get into some other topics? What's our next song going to be?
Okay, I'm going to slow it down. It's Pat's Country.
Great job, guys. Absolutely wonderful to hear the music. And what was the name of that song again for our listeners?
Pat's Country.
That's Country. Well, very nice slow song. I saw Jeannie bobbing her head back and forth. She looked like she was really into it. And I didn't see Zia bobbing his head, but we'll maybe we'll get a song that he'll bob his head for next time. But anyways, really appreciate that, gentleman. Very culturally relevant for many of our community that we recognize these songs, definitely without a doubt. But anyways, I'm going to move us on to our information. So, we talk about being Métis in British Columbia. We know that we've continued to advocate for the importance and relevance of our as one of the Indigenous peoples of this province. But one thing that is a defining characteristic, as we know, is language. And so tonight, part of the show will be sharing a little bit more about our Michif language. And I know that's why we've got special guests here with yourself, Renee, and your team. And of course, we've got some friends up there in Terrace with you. And before I turn over to Jeannie, I just want to remind our people watching tonight, we share a lot of information about, of course, our Michif language, and our team led by Jeannie and Renee. They do put information out, like the Fall Michif French newsletter, which was out here recently, of course, through our website. And of course, you can see it at michif.ca. And of course, there's many other tools we're doing. So Jeannie, it looks like there's a lot going on. I know, why don't you fill us in on what's happening right now?
Well, right now we're actually doing our mentor apprentice program, and we're just so pleased about it. It's a real commitment between fluent speakers to come together to transfer and teach the language to an apprentice who wants to carry the language forward to teach and share with future generations. So it's a huge commitment on both persons' parts. It's about 300 hours in the first year, and then 2 more years of consecutive hours to total 900. So it's a huge commitment that BCMF is making to sponsor this program, and also on the participants and the speakers who are contributing to it. So it's a huge initiative, and we're really looking forward to this next 5 years of our capacity building plan to have that come to fruition so that we have more speakers in our community.
Yeah, it's such an important thing. I know that many of us have been disenfranchised from our language, but
Mhm.
these programs that we're concentrating on the French Michif dialect, and I'll come to that a little later from my own personal story I've shared many times. But Jeannie, it seems like there is a lot going on, and I believe tonight we've organized some French Michif apprentices to be live on the show. So I guess I'll leave you handle this part of how you want to talk in Michif with some folks.
Yeah, so we're really pleased to have two of our apprentices up with Renee in Terrace, and they're going to do a little demonstration of some of the learning that we've done together. So we have Amy Edwards and Roseanne Fourchet with Renee Therian. So they're going to do a demonstration of the language work that they've been working on.
And before we do that, thank you, Jeannie. But Amy and Roseanne, why don't you lean in a little bit so we can see you a little more? But Roseanne, why don't you reintroduce yourself? You're part of the Michif Apprenticeship Program, but again, I know most of our viewers will know you, but why don't you reintroduce yourself?
Hi, everybody. Bon après-midi. My name is Roseanne. I am with the Skeena River Métis Community Association. I am their women's rep and a director of their board, and I'm also with the BC Métis Federation as a community researcher and elder youth coordinator,
Perfect.
also on the board.
Yes. And Amy, why don't you reintroduce yourself? It's good to see you again. Last time I saw you, we saw, I think, bears in a tree up in somewhere in the Nass Valley. I think you were there at that time.
Yeah, I got the full Métis experience, and I thought maybe you ordered the bears to come some way for that experience, but I think it was the apples and maybe Renee's fiddling. Perfect combination.
Yeah.
They felt right at home there.
Yeah.
So but Amy, you're there in Terrace tonight, taking part in this Michif program, one of the many initiatives we're leading. But where are you from originally, or where do you live when you're not in Terrace?
I'm from Kelowna here in BC, and I just want to say I feel so privileged to be part of the apprenticeship with the BC Métis Federation. Language is really important. Our elders like Renee, who carry the language, are in their 70s, and once they leave us for the spirit world, it's up to us to try and learn the language so that we can pass it on to our children so that it's not lost. And so, yeah, I feel very privileged to be here and be able to do mentorship with with Renee. It's very special.
You know what I loved hearing about that, Renee? You just got put younger than you are. He's in his 80s. Wow.
I know, thank you.
Amy, you just made a big friend of that guy. I saw him perk a little smile there when you said in their 70s. He was like, wow.
I'll pay her later.
Yeah. But no,
Yeah.
but thank you for joining us. So yeah, the floor is yours. Let's hear some of your Michif language, team.
Well, thank you, Keith. Thank you, Jeannie. Our Michif language is very important to our organization and, of course, to our members. Not only part of our culture, but it was the language that our grandparents spoke. The Federation took the lead to revive our Michif French with the help of Canadian Heritage, and I'm proud to be here. And now we're going to do a little bit, do what we do on Zoom every 3 times a week. I'll be asking questions. They're going to answer me in Michif. So let's see how they do. Amy, que c'est ton nom, toi?
Mon nom, c'est Amy.
OK. C'est-tu la première fois que tu viens à Terrasse?
Non, j'étais à Nash l'année passée à un ressemblé language de Michif français.
Pourquoi tu es venu à Terrasse cette semaine?
Pour les mêmes choses, apprendre les languages de Michif français.
Puis toi, que c'est ton nom?
Mon nom, c'est Roseanne.
Où tu viens, Roseanne?
Moi, je viens du Manitoba, puis aujourd'hui, je reste à Terrace.
Que c'est ta job de la Fédération de Michif Colombie-Britannique de Skeena?
Je suis en consul d'administration pour Skinner River Métis, puis la Fédération Michif de la Colombie-Britannique.
Comment c'était ta journée aujourd'hui?
Aujourd'hui, c'était bon, c'était un bon jour.
C'était bon pour vous parler les deux?
Toi aussi.
Merci pour les décisions aujourd'hui.
Merci.
We'll go down. Okay. What I mentioned at first, I'm going to translate it in Michif. Notre langue Michif est importante aujourd'hui pour nos organisations puis nos membres. Puis pas pour notre culture. C'est la langue que nos grands-parents qui parlaient. La Fédération a pris le temps pour amener back la langue de Michif avec l'aide de Heritage canadien. Aujourd'hui, je suis content d'être ici pour aider à parler le Michif. Since the mentor apprentice here, they'll be our next speakers, I hope, in a very short time. So thank you for having us.
Well, that was great to hear you guys. Listen, I think that kind of there's different dialects in Michif, and we've, as many of us know, we've talked repeatedly on this show about the importance of just also trying to speak it and lead by intention, right? So I'm just so thankful to yourself, Amy and Roseanne, and I know there's other individuals involved, but thank you, Renee and Jeannie, for the work you're doing to actually not just create online tools, but actually apprentice individuals, which is really the most, like, you have to be immersed in the language to learn it. I mean, there's no other way around it, in my opinion, which I can see firsthand how you guys are doing. So I just have to ask each of you, what's it been like for you, Amy and Roseanne? We'll start with you, Amy. What's it been like for you to be like online, contributing the hours, just trying to learn when Renee's we're going through that process on a weekly basis? Do you find it just exciting, challenging, hard? How do you find it picking up the language like this?
A little of both. I know a little bit of German because my grandmother was German and then my grandfather was Métis, and I learned a little bit. And so sometimes when you know another language, your brain goes to the words that you've learned in that other language. And a little bit of French from school growing up. I mean, only until grade 8. Some words are similar, but it's quite different. And so even those associations I have to put out of my mind because some words are completely different. And the repetition is really helping. And also Jeannie and Roseanne have done a lot of work to prepare us online with pages of written Michif, which is difficult because it's not a written language, but phonetically sounding out the words so that we can pronounce them, and writing it down. And I'm finding, even just on the flight on the way here, I'm looking at my book that we started in the NAS, and now the words are becoming more familiar. And Jeannie had sent us a file of Renee sharing some Michif stories. It's just all in Michif. So now I'm starting to hear words, and then I'm starting to kind of pair them together, and they're starting to make sense. Whereas before, like, it's like listening to French radio. I might pick up a few words here and there, but not as much in context. And so I'm starting to slowly get the associations. And we've been on Zoom the last 2 months, 3 times a week, about an hour and a half. And then sometimes at work, I've been writing out cards, putting cards around my house, just trying to get those associations. So it's slowly coming there, and that's the exciting part. But tricky sometimes when your mouth doesn't automatically do it, and you're trying to roll an R and
The R's.
so but I'm thankful for this community because everybody is really patient. We take turns listening to each other and reading, and it's really helping, the repetition and everything. I was feeling like it was going to be really daunting to be able to try and learn, and I know it takes the time commitment too, but I'm starting to feel better about learning it and then being able to retain it and associate it more in things that I do every day in life. Yeah. So.
Well, thank you, Amy, for sharing. How about yourself, Rosanna, being on a weekly basis? How do you find it taxing? I know you're juggling a lot of projects and initiatives. How do you find it?
I'm actually enjoying pretty much every bit of it. It's probably one of the most favorite things I'm doing. I'm kind of blessed because my husband is Métis, and so I can text him in Michif and say, you know, is it time for supper yet? I'm hungry. Is it time for souper? And he will respond. He understands. And like, for example, last night when we were going over the conversation piece we were going to have today, I read it out to him and he made a correction and said, well, you should be responding this way. And so I'm kind of lucky that way. And of course, Rennie and Ray are always talking in Michif. But yeah, it's been quite an experience. I really enjoyed it. I really enjoy the people I'm learning with. I can't say enough about Rennie and Jeannie and the materials and the products that they put through for us. I am so totally looking forward to the end of this year and starting next year as well.
Perfect. Well, Renee, any final words on this first part of our show tonight? I know it's been just to give the viewers tonight a really like a sample of what exactly the MAP or the Métis or Michif apprenticeship program is. Any final words of your participation in what you're doing?
Well, I'm not a teacher, but you know, it's not a job. It's something that I like, and I think I enjoy it working with these ladies, 3 of them and Jeannie. It's just fun to do. I mean, if it was a job, I probably wouldn't do it, but now it's because I enjoy it and I'd like to see it through. And hopefully within a year or 2, these people will take my place.
No.
No. No.
As far as I'm concerned, Renee, you gained 10 years a few minutes ago, so you got 10 more
That's right, yeah.
any final words? You're helping bring this to reality as our director. Any final words on this particular piece?
I want to just say, I just raised my hands to the apprentices and to the mentors that are bringing this to life. It was a dream a few years ago, and now we're actually seeing the output of that. The commitment is not just a commitment. You guys are showing passion. And when I look back 2 months ago and then I hear you guys now, I can hear your mouth muscles starting to change because you're getting the nasal sounds and the rolls of the tongue. So good on you guys. The work is showing. So keep doing what you're doing.
Perfect. Well, thanks, Jeannie. And on that note, Jeannie, I do want to share with our viewers tonight. We know there's an employment opportunity in this department. So do you want to speak about this just for a brief second?
Yes, we're looking for somebody who's as passionate as we are in the program to help continue the good work that we're doing. So we're looking for a program coordinator that can help us organize and keep on top of everything that we're doing. We're also working on our silent speakers program. So it's inviting those who grew up the language to come together to relearn and rekindle their language familiarity, with lots of community love and support in doing that. So we're needing somebody to come on board and help us co-coordinate the program and to keep it going. And again, we have a 5-year goal, so that's what we're working towards. We really need some passionate commitment from an individual. So if that's you, please get a hold of us.
So Jeannie, so do they email you? What's the best way to apply or inquire about this
Just
job?
go on to our website. All the information's there. There's also a downloadable description of details of the program, and everything that you might need to know. Also visit us at machif.ca to look at some of the materials and resources that we already have developed, and to become familiar. And if you have any questions, please contact me.
Perfect. And one final piece on this, Jeannie, you know, we got to recognize the support we got from Heritage Canada. I mean, I just want to say thank you to Heritage Canada. I don't often thank the government, but on this particular item, I mean, they did fund this program, and I know we're working towards a more longer program implementation for the upcoming years. What's your, just maybe share a little bit of the vision of where we want to go over the next 3, 4, 5 years.
In the next 3 to 4, 5 years, we want to have at least 10 Machif speakers developed with a constant rotation of apprentices coming in, and those apprentices eventually become mentors, and we continue to build capacity of fluent speakers. And then once we have enough fluent speakers, then we want to work into the school systems, early learning, creating storybooks for children in the language. So there's lots of work to do, and we've created the vision, so we're just marching towards it together.
Jeannie, we just had a question online. Someone said, what is a silent speaker? What do you mean?
Yes, that's a great question. A silent speaker is somebody who's grown up in the language, and for whatever reason, whether it's relocation, they've had to leave their community, they were in residential school, and they no longer speak it or don't know how to speak it, but they are familiar with it because they were raised in it. If you want to revitalize that and reclaim that language back to you, we have a structured program that talks about what are some of the barriers to prevent you from speaking. We work with the fluent speaker to help you build capacity of your language to restore it. And we wrap you around with culture and learning as we're doing it. So we become a little mini community to surround you in all the things that were absent that cause the language to go silent.
I actually consider myself a silent speaker because I grew up with it. I listened to it with my grandparents, particularly speaking it very fluently. When I listened to Renee and Amy and Roseanne speak, it's exactly what I would hear around the kitchen table of my grandparents' place.
And that's the ideal candidate. Is we're looking at people who probably in their late 40s all the way up to even 70 that really have lost that opportunity and that community support. We want to onboard you. We have 8 position opportunities available, and it will be online access. We're going to try and make it as easy and supportive as we can, so that the more people can be benefited by it.
Yeah. So a reminder to everyone, you can go to machif.ca is the one particular direct, we have a microsite, we call it. That's where this information is, but you can also get to there through the bcmétis.com website as well. So
absolutely. And email me directly if you have any questions or any hesitation, because we want to make sure that you're included.
Perfect. Well, thanks, team. I'm gonna move on to a couple other items, and then Renee, I'm queuing you up. I'm gonna be coming to you for some music here shortly. But thank you again, Amy and Roseanne and Jeannie, for the great work you're doing. We look forward to hearing updates in future Métis Coffee Talks. Okay.
Awesome. Thank you for having us.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Have fun. Have a fun team.
Yep.
Okay, another couple things I want to share with everyone. We just got, while Renee and the band's getting set back up to do another good old Métis song there. If you are up in the Fort St. John area, I just want to advise our members and partners. You can meet with one of our team members, Jennifer Percival. Should be at the job fair. It's actually today, I guess. Well, I guess it's too late. You could have met her today, I suppose. I just realized it's the 24th. It's today. Well, hopefully Jennifer reports to us and lets us know how the Work BC Fort St. John job fair went, and I look forward to hearing a bit of that update on what's happening there. Another thing that I want to just remind people, I don't know if many of our Métis people reflect on Louis Riel, but earlier this week, and I didn't see a lot of social media about it, but we often think of Louis Riel in the context of one of our iconic historic Métis leaders, of course, and really was the epitome of what really created the idea of the Métis Nation. But anyways, Louis Riel, he was just had his birthday, on Tuesday this week. Each year on October 22nd, he was born in 1844. As we all know, we say wrongfully hung in November of 1885. So at a very young age, basically 40 plus years old. But anyways, I just want to acknowledge that it was Louis Riel's birthday earlier this week, and I hope that as we continue to learn about our Métis history, that for those of us in British Columbia as well that are connected with this particular historic community, please make sure that we remember these dates. If you don't think about it, we should be creating more public awareness within British Columbia about these iconic dates that are important to our community as well. So anyways, I just want to take a moment and acknowledge it was Louis Riel's birthday earlier this week. One other story I just want to quickly touch on. Thank you to our team member, our Director of Research, Joe Desjardins. He recently part of the National Day for Truth and Reconciliation. He was provided a presentation to CanGas, which is just another company that reached out to us to hear a little bit more about Métis of the Pacific Northwest or British Columbia. So thank you, Joe. You were there. I know you provided a bit of information. I believe they did a series of things, but we certainly appreciate Joe's work on just raising the awareness of the Métis perspective as it relates to September 30th in residential schools, and which is very relevant for many of our families that also attended residential schools. And appreciate your work very much, Joe, for the work you did there. So I see our band's back. I think they're ready to go. Why don't we bring them back up? So Renee, what are you going to play for us, Renee?
I'm going to play one called Crossing the Ferry.
Excellent. Excellent. Thank you, Renee and Mike and Sean. Sound very, very, very picked up the energy level for me. You must be eating some Halloween candy up there already, pre-Halloween. Is there chocolates in the office up there?
They're hidden. We hid them already.
Well, you can't keep, I was going to say, if Renee's there, you can't keep chocolate candy. I'm telling you right now. I know that firsthand. So.
Did somebody mention candy?
Yeah, exactly.
We hid it way up on top of the filing cabinet, ready.
Absolutely. I can understand. Well, look, I'll get into the next segment. I'll come back to you guys in about 10-15 minutes for our next song. But I want to talk about our conservation department. And I know Zia has joined us online here tonight, and I just want to invite Zia to join us here this evening. And Zia, I know you're working with the conservation department and many individuals. I put up one of the pieces you're working on. I saw this the new episode 9 of this particularly podcast. So why don't you give us a bit of an overview what's going on, and I know there's some clips I can show as well.
For sure, Keith. Well, one of our initiatives that we established in this year, it was podcasting, and so far we are publishing our podcast through Spotify and Amazon Music. In the future, we are aiming to include more apps, but for now, we choose these two popular apps that people can follow us and listen to our podcast. We aim to invite individual and companies that working or have a experience that they're willing to share about conservation with us. And also we try to come up with some research and hot topics that we have through province that is cover conservation facts and a story that we can include it to this podcast for our members.
So when this particular podcast, tell us a little about Jonah and the work he does. I mean, I do have obviously a link to the clip, but I may put it on shortly. But tell us a little bit about Jonah and why you guys wanted to discuss his work and why it was relevant for the conservation department.
Absolutely. Jonah was one of the youth that we came across as an individual that he has a very good experience of making documentaries since he was a kid. And when we had a chat with him, we saw it's really interesting story that we can include it to our podcast. It could be a very good motivation for Métis youth to hear another youth that how they are enthusiastic working with conservation and are try to find their journey and career. So we had him as one of our guest speaker in our Vancouver main office, and we had a very good chat with him about his journey. And definitely, I recommend everyone to go and listen through Spotify or Amazon Music. You're gonna very enjoy his story.
Yeah. This is it's on the Spotify link. I'm just going to play a short clip of it, if that's okay with you, Zia.
Absolutely. Please go ahead.
Welcome back to the Aqua Agenda with your host, Angel Fisher, Director of Conservation with BC Métis Federation.
And Zia Yazdani, I'm a manager of the department.
And I'm Tanner Oswald, a conservation coordinator.
Welcome back, everyone, to today's episode. Today we have a special guest speaker in the studio, Jonah Lee McNamee. Welcome, Jonah.
Welcome.
Thanks for having me.
Yes, thank you. So today our main focus is on your recent documentary, Hope for the Humpbacks. But before we get into that, we kind of want to delve a little bit into your past and kind of learn a little bit about what first sparked your interest in filmmaking and if there were any key moments in your childhood or teenage years that inspired your work with documentaries.
Definitely, yeah. I've been making movies since I was really young, like 8 or 9, doing Lego stop motions and stuff like that. My dad taught me how to edit on iMovie. So I've always loved making movies and videos. And then I kind of bridged that into making videos when I was a teen. And then I think when I was around 16, I saw a movie called Boyhood by Richard Linklater.
Love that movie. It's so good.
I don't think I've seen it.
It's incredible.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's and it just hit the perfect chord for me at that
It's so
age
cool
too.
how
And
they
I was
shot
like,
it.
oh, I want to make movies.
Yeah.
And then since then, I've just been, pursuing my passion and trying to make more movies every year.
Oh, fun. How many have you made now so far?
Too many.
So I won't play the whole thing. Obviously, what we want, Z, is we want members to be aware that, we're just trying to support with this department, with yourself, Tanner, and obviously Angel, the particular 3 team members operationalizing and bringing these to life. We're talking about ways that our Métis members can support conservation and why it's important. And then I think bringing individuals into our world, like Jonah and others, I mean, is a really important piece of the work. And I think it's really great that we're creating these tools. And so what's your why is that important, you think, for our Métis members specifically, in your view, beyond, or maybe it's just a recap of what I said? Like, why is this important for the Federation members watching tonight and in the future, with particularly our younger audience?
Well, I think conservation is our life, you cannot deny on it. Anything we are doing and thinking about conservation is going to affect on our life directly or indirectly. And when you have this opportunity, because we also appreciate our members' comments, remember when we start our work in this department, we only focus on newsletter, but we also get some comment from our member that they would like to hear. That's why we come up with the podcast initiative. So I think when they include this kind of knowledge and information through their daily base, and they can hear other people's story or facts or what's going on around us, it's gonna help them better have a better understanding and clear picture in what's going on. And if they want to really do something, obviously anyone can.
Well, and I mean, and you spoke about it, but you're right, because I mean, you guys, before it was mostly like newsletter updates, and we had various activities. But I loved it, because I love the information you guys put out, because recently, obviously, you can see here, I put on the screen, this is the recent newsletter that went out, your September 2024 newsletter. And I know this goes out to a network of individuals that have signed into this, and of course available to our members. What do you find that members, what's your take on how their interest in, how do they appreciate these tools? How are you finding the feedback you get from folks that are reading this information?
Well, most of the times we get a very great feedback and comment from our members, especially when you take a look at our newsletter or any content that we are creating. 95% of them we created our own inside the department. Like if you see all these pictures, it's like we locally, either we took them and edited them, or we ask some of our member or friends to come and take a picture and do that. Or when you see the picture in the sceneries, also we took them. Or also the podcast, we are not asking any third company or group to come and help us. Is it all created inside the department from 0 to 100? So when we showing this all different kind of passing information to our member, they really like and appreciate it, especially when we include photo and video. Is not just paragraph over paragraph, because if you want to be realistic, when it's too much written things, people try to escape. But when you showing pictures and videos or audio file, definitely is more engaging.
Yeah. Well, I think so. And I think that, I just continue to encourage our conservation department to, work on these kind of tools, because I think, as you say, members want to feel like it's real, and there's all sorts of interesting things, that they can participate with. So I know we've got some stuff coming up with the department.
Yes.
In fact, if I can I'll bring up on the screen for you, but there's an event coming up on the 29th. When do you feel like give people a bit of insight into this?
Absolutely. We're actually planning a lot of event is gonna coming very soon. So stay tuned to our website, Instagram, and distribution list. But for this one, which is the next event, is gonna be October 29th, and we are already in the full capacity. Is a mushroom foraging that is gonna be for Lower Mainland, and we is a very great opportunity that I believe is 2 hours tour. We're going in the forest, and we have a instructor, a company that is gonna show and teach our member that join to this event what is the difference between all the mushroom that they can see and grow in the forest, and they can foraging them, and they can keep and use it.
And how many people are heading out? I know it's full already, but how many did you guys end up with in that particular program?
For this specific event, the full capacity with that company was 12, and we are already in a full capacity.
Okay. And we're also doing you got another event coming up right away as well. You're doing the I guess the I guess a youth retreat again coming up, if I understand
Abs-
correct.
Yes, that's absolutely right. We get so many good comment and feedback from the first one, and we recording pictures, video, the people that can go into YouTube or Instagram and see what happened to that first one. And after we get all those great feedback from our member, we planning to have another one. And there is a one difference on the second one that we include elders now. We thought is a really great opportunity that elder and youth come together as a one group and they can share their information among each other. And definitely this one, we already sent two email only to our members to, if they're interested and available, they can send a bio, all the information that we ask in the email back to us. And based off the candidates, which is, I believe is pretty much, we also full on that. We're going to review that next week and choose successful candidates for the next event.
Perfect. So that's coming up fairly quickly. So obviously folks can is it too late to get involved now? I'm sorry, I can't remember if I don't know.
The date we are planning for youth and elder retreat is November 12th till November 15th, and we already received so many email from our members only that are interested. So I believe we are in full capacity. But you know what? It wouldn't hurt if you're interested and if you're hearing right now, and reply back to that email.
Yeah. Also, I mean, you're right. You guys have a lot going on. We talked about this youth retreat potential, the event coming up the mushroom picking this next, foraging, this weekend. And then on November 21st, you've got the whale and popcorn trails. Now, this doesn't seem to fit together to me, but it sounds cool. So what is this?
Well, it's a movie night. It's gonna be, I believe, a 3 to 3.5 hour event. It's located in Vancouver. It's again a very great opportunity for our member and also non-member. Like if you have a friend of yours that is not Métis, is absolutely fine. But our priority is members that they can come go and register for this event. And if I want to give you a little bit about this event, it's gonna be start at 6 to 7 is going to be socializing. We are providing food and drinks and beverages. And from 7 to 7:30, we are working to have guest speakers from other organizations that have the same concern and experience about conservation. And from 8 to 9:30, we're going to play a documentary that is called The Last of the Right Whale. It's a 1.5 hour documentary about whales, and it's very hard to describe. It's very interesting document. It's sad, but it's true. So also limited seat on this one. So if you're interested, please go and sign.
Bottom line is there seems to be a lot going on. There's two more events I just want to touch on though.
Yes.
You've got an event coming up, Beyond the Blue Conservation Conference. Can give us a bit of insight into that?
Absolutely. That's gonna be our third conference for the department, and this one we are planning to have it in Richmond. Is gonna be bigger than the last one, and we are having guest speakers, vendors, educational based, business based from local businesses, and also we offer a table to internally to BCMF. All departments, if they are interested, they can communicate with us. We can make sure that they have a table for that event. Also, we are planning to have 3 workshops on this conference. So it wouldn't be only sitting and listening to speakers. It's going to be workshops, 3 in 3 different categories. So we try to make it engagement and exciting for the people that would like to participate.
Yeah, so that's coming up. So people will find out more information through our email subscribers and then watch for information on the Federation, on our social media, on our Facebook page, and of course the conservation social media links. And then, that's January 18th being planned for. There'll be opportunity for people to be there. And I just want to say that you also will be announcing very shortly, a little information about a conference on Vancouver Island.
Yes, I want to just say for the first conference on January 18, we pretty much finalized our step with the hotel and the conference room. The form is pretty much ready, so we are aiming for by next week the form go out on our website and also on Instagram. So again, if you're interested, make sure you check those places, check your emails, and secure your seat before you get filled out, because also that's a limited seat for us. The second conference is we are trying to, for the first time, have our conference in Vancouver Island, because we get so many comment and feedback from our members that they live in Vancouver Island. They would like to have this kind of event specifically for Vancouver Island. So right now, at this point, we are planning and see our capacity based off our resources that we have to have our second conference in Vancouver Island. More information gonna be posted in our website and also through emails.
Boy, that's a lot of information, Zia. I know that it's obviously I hope the members and people watching tonight recognize, like, we started with some Michif language and gave an example of the Métis apprenticeship program, our Michif apprenticeship program. We're also now sharing information about obviously many things going on in the conservation department. The bottom line is stay plugged into our social media, our email distribution opportunities will come up. And some of these things, just for our members to know, some of these provide travel assistance, travel support. So you will want to apply, because we're not asking people to show up without us providing those tools and abilities to be there. So youth, elders, individuals, watch for what's happening in the conservation department. Any final thoughts, Zia?
No, I just want to thank you again for having me on this coffee talk. I really appreciate it. And also want to mention that we also going to send another provincial survey soon to only our members. We looking forward to collect very important data from our members for our work plans in the future. So that's also going to send out by email, and we really appreciate if all our members is participate and help us to collect all those data.
Perfect.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Zia. And look, keep up the good work in the department, you guys.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Yeah. One more just quick couple information items before we get to, I'll get our band queued up. They'll be ready to go for their next song. One of the other initiatives our team is working on, our director of Child, Youth, and Family, Lisa Armstrong, is continuing to develop sort of other mental health and other supportive tools for members. And there's other initiatives happening in the province. So I'll talk about Lisa's work here shortly, but there's another program up in Fort St. John. It's tomorrow. I want to make sure I raise attention. Its registration's free. It's obviously with the Peace Region Métis Community Association and Jocelyn and our team up there. But there's if you are looking for information, please contact Jocelyn and the team up in Fort St. John. It's from 1 till 4 tomorrow, and look forward to just sharing that information and hoping that we get some folks, maybe some other information about how you can continue to make life a little easier for yourself in these challenging times. Okay, so Renee, are we ready with our next song from the band?
Yeah, I'm ready. We're going to play Whiskey Before Breakfast.
Great job, guys. Love that song. Definitely one of my favorite Métis songs. Been around listening to that song many events over many years. Well played, well played. Renee, what's that? What does that bring back any memories for you? That particular song, or any? I think of certain Métis events, but how about yourself? That's been most of us in the Métis world will recognize that song.
Song that I've learned. It's been out for a long time. It's Andy DeJarlis, I think, brought it out. Yeah, and that's quite a request fiddle tune that when I do play, they ask for that one.
Yeah, it's very catchy for sure. Couple more items I want to share with everyone tonight. Just carrying right on. Also want to let people know in the Fort St. John area this weekend as well. I guess this is Saturday. Scary movie night. So the Federation, working with our partners at Peace Region Métis Community Association, reminder that there's targeting families and everyone. They're having a scary movie night at the community there, so that's great. It's from 6 till 9 p.m. So again, contact the Peace Region representatives, Jocelyn and team. Registration is free, and we hope people have a good time there. Obviously, with Halloween around the corner, it's a fitting theme, quite frankly. So as I think I commiserated a bit about that before. There's some other mental health programs as well that these are online programs. This information is on our website. This is again, Lisa Armstrong, our Director of Child, Youth and Family, one of our upcoming programs. It's in our events section on our site. What is youth sexual exploitation, November 7th, 2 to 3:30 p.m. This is becoming a major issue. Most of us will know this, but it is a huge issue for young people, particularly on social media. I just really encourage parents or people that aren't sure how to handle it or deal with it or talk about it. This may be an opportunity for you in a safe place online with our programming to really, participate in a very important conversation that definitely impacts everyone. This is a personal matter for many of us, including I know young people that have, unfortunately, I know a young man who took his life that my son played hockey with not too long ago. It was well reported in the media. That was someone who I actually coached in hockey, and it was online, sort of, it was an online sexual situation that created that, where, this 13-year-old, 14-year-old young man decided that he had no other option, and he committed suicide 45 minutes after he got exploited. So I know there's different angles of this, but I just want to say it's a very important conversation and information for our members and our families as well. So thank you, Lisa, for the work you're doing, and just look forward to hearing sort of any other ways that we can help families. A couple other sort of local, just important reminders to all of you tonight. I just want to remind people that there are existing programs that you can participate in. Of course, we've got the Greg Mazur Student Scholarship program. Just remember, if you're attending any recognized or accredited post-secondary training here in British Columbia, that there is a scholarship that the Federation provides called the Greg Mazur Student Scholarship Program. The link is there at our BC Métis scholarship URL there. Of course, you can get to it right through our website. It's listed in the programs. I just want to remind people, there is still scholarships that are available, but you do have to be a full member of the Federation, an eligible full member. So encourage people to be aware of this and share that information. Many of us have post-secondary is extremely costly, and important that any help you can get is probably appreciated for families. The other program that I want to just bring back to everyone's attention is the Emergency Assistance Program, or the health-related, as you can see on the screen here, the health-related expenses. Full members are able to apply for financial assistance related to a number of issues with COVID-19, essential health equipment, medical supplies, or travel costs for medical appointments. Here's there's a QR code. Of course, it's available on our website. Just really encourage people to take advantage of these programs that we continue to bring in. So far, we've helped over 50 families and individuals this current year. And certainly, I know that it's a matter that affects many of our members on a regular basis. Another area that we'll just quickly touch on, the employment opportunities, a reminder of our job, of course, of our job board, which has now been updated, as we talked about last month. It's, you can send information about getting your jobs posted on there, of course. And of course, we want our Métis members and partners to feel like they can go there and look for good work. So it's at bcmétis.work, and that's got a new format. We introduced that last month. Just a reminder, there's a number of jobs in different areas of opportunity for work, and just encourage people to look at the site at bcmétis.work. That's an important opportunity for everyone. You know, we're kind of coming to the end of the show, but I just want to end with, we want to invite everyone. You know, we're in our head office. We work with partners all over the province, as we can see each month on this show. But Louis Riel Day is a day that we continue to advocate to recognize in British Columbia. November 16th in 1885 was what many of us feel Louis Riel was wrongfully hung, and many of us will still continue to advocate for his complete exoneration. But I want to invite all of you watching here tonight to make sure you come on out and maybe learn a little bit more about our Métis community. We're hosting a commemoration, if you will, event on November 16th from 1 till 4 here at our office at 3665 Kingsway. It's our head office, and it'll be in our sort of cultural space we've got here on this 3rd floor. So I really encourage people to come on out on this particular weekend and just come learn. We're going to share just a little bit more insights about it and information. And I think for many of us in the Métis community, whether we're in British Columbia or we all have a bit of a history in British Columbia tied to some form of Métis ancestry. And I find it interesting when I watch some of the rhetoric still about whether we're Indigenous or not. I just want to share why this is so important for me, particularly in Louis Riel being exonerated. And I've shared a bit of my story with folks, but just to give you a bit more insight tonight, I just want to show you this gravestone. This gravestone is my grandfather and grandmother, great-grandfather, great-grandmother, David Slater and my grandma Slater, Elmire. They're buried. My grandma was buried in Batoche in 1992. My great-grandmother. I knew these people. I grew up with them, and they were some of the last people that were buried right in the Batoche cemetery. Their parents were there when the Northwest Rebellion happened. And I just share that because all of us have connections, and I just want people to remember that. But as Indigenous people as well, we all are working our way through reconciliation. And I say that because I'll give you another. That's on my grandfather, my grandma's side. They were a Métis family right from Batoche, but it wasn't just my grandma's side. It was my grandfather's side. So I'll show you this headstone. You know, this is my great-great-grandfather who's buried in Batoche. He died in 1935. He was born in 1847. He lived in Batoche. And when the Northwest Rebellion was happening, him and his brothers and family, our family, were there. And not only were they there, you know, I can show you on my genealogical chart, for what it's worth to those that really want to learn about why these things are important about how I feel, anyways, for myself, anyways. Why I feel it's so important. This is my genealogy and in my connection with some of that history in Batoche. And you'll see in my genealogy, Mr. Donald Daniel Ross. That was my great-great-grandmother's father. He died on the last day in Batoche on May 12th, 1885. He was a captain with Gabriel Dumont and Riel and the I guess the Northwest Uprising, and he was killed on the last day of that conflict. You can see he was born at St. John's Parish in Manitoba. He was married in 1848, and he was shot and killed in 1885. So I just say that because I think that all of us, there is continually maybe a bit of a perception that maybe the Métis in British Columbia don't have this connection. Some of us have that historic connection to the historical iconic events, and it bugs me to no end to watch some of the other Métis organizations taking ownership over whether Riel should be exonerated or not. I am so angry at certain Métis leaders that have zero connection to that genealogical connection into that event, like my family, who's from there, and actually they speak like as if they represent our view. Riel should be exonerated. I will always say this because my family was there, and there's much more of my family connected to that historic event. But I just want you to know that I just share this because there's a lot of Métis people that are perceived as Métis leaders, and the country says, oh, we better follow them, and and I won't get into who I'm talking about, but these people I question whether they even have a connection to that particular community there, and yet they're speaking for us. Like Riel, we got hung for that event there, and he's saying, oh, the Métis community there, we speak for them. That's not right. It's the same thing with us here. We're trying to build governance. So Louis Riel Day, I didn't mean to go on a rant on this. I just encourage people to think carefully about that. Don't assume we know, and don't assume that we're like this constant battle we face of whether the Métis here are legitimate or not. I'm going to tell you, I'm 1,000,000% legitimate on the Métis issue. And it bugs me to no end that people still try and minimize and pretend that we're not. And I think that I would just ask all of us to be just conscious of that. And as we think about the role of the BC Métis Federation, our members, our work, and who should have say over what affects us. And I will always say that. And that's what Louis Riel stood for, and that's what we stand for. So I hope you'll come join us. We're going to show a list of the names of the families. There was about 500 people in that Batoche, Batoche, Fish Creek, Duck Lake area that were all interconnected. There's a list of names, family names, many of people. We'll just review those names, just honor those names, and thank you to the people that tried their best to fight for what they thought was our place as Canada was evolving. So, I just hope you come join us when that event unfolds, and it would be nice to have everybody there. So, one last song. I know we're a bit over time, Renee. Why don't I cut one last song for us, and then we'll wind up the show for real. Renee and band, can you give us one last song?
Okay, I'm going to play, it's called a medley in D.
Wow, well, that great way to end the show. Thank you again, Renee, Sean, and Mike. Really appreciate your contributions, and of course, Roseanne in the background, and Amy's probably still sitting there, and of course, Jeannie. Thank you very much for being on the show, everyone. I really appreciated having you for this important edition of Métis Coffee Talk.
My pleasure. It was great to be here. Thank you, everyone.
And thanks, Renee, and everyone. Any final words, Renee?
No, I think the show was good. We talked about the Michif language. The band is good. Everything is good. You did a good job.
Well, thanks, Renee. It's the we've been at it a while, so hopefully it makes sense to folks. Zia, thanks for joining us for the Conservation Department update.
Absolutely. Thank you again.
Yeah, perfect, everyone. Well, with that, I want to just say thank you for joining us for this October edition of Métis Coffee Talk. We wish all of you have a safe Easter holiday. And of course, we look forward to talking to you next month. And make sure you join us for some of the Conservation Department events. There's events happening up in Fort St. John. And please come join us on Louis Riel Day, November 16th, here in our Vancouver office in the area. come get involved, come learn a bit more, put the politics aside and understand what Louis Riel really stood for, because he didn't stand for divisiveness of just petty politics of money. What he wanted was a real place for all Métis people. And it wasn't just certain Métis people, it was all of us. And the history shows that, and we need to continue to fight for that. And that's why I've always been passionate about it, because my family is more deeply connected to that event than people, I think, realize. And that's really important to me and important to all of us at the Federation. So good night, everyone. We'll talk to you hopefully at the Louis Riel Day event, and have a great evening.